Disturbing.
Welcome back to Dastardly Hamster. I am here with a returning Mika. She has been away on maternity leave, but she is now back. We are very excited to have her.
Thank you for your patience. I'm delighted to be back to undertake this important, monumental task of ranking wrestling intro songs.
Very, very important. The Attitude Era. This is the era that you have all been asking for. It is the largest era in wrestling. It's my favorite era. So I'm very excited to finally get to this. This is also when the music starts becoming a little bit more grown up. It's aimed at a different audience now. So I think Mika is gonna enjoy this. And in fact, there is so much good Attitude Era music that we're gonna have to break this into 2 videos because there's no way I can show her everything in this video. So what I'm gonna do is for this video, we're gonna focus on the first half of the Attitude Era, which was really Austin versus McMahon. Later, we'll get a chance to do the second half of the era, which is more of the McMahon-Helmsley era. If you don't see a wrestler today, don't worry, we'll get to them eventually. Because these are not meant to be songs that you would listen to all the way through, usually they're like 30 to a minute long as before they get to the ring. That's how long Mika's going to be listening to them before she makes her judgment on them. And she's just going to be deciding whether or not she thought it was a good song, a good fit, right? I'll tell a little bit about the characters and she will rank them on into your list. So we're going to start with Degeneration X. Mika, you might be familiar with some of the mannerisms from this stable. Sorry, I shouldn't use wrestling terms. It means like a group. This is where the suck it crotch chop came from. I don't know if you're familiar with it.
What?
Well, I'm glad. For me in high school, this was every adolescent boy was doing these crotch chops. And this is where that came from. DX was sort of, probably one of the first transitions into this new era where everything was getting a little less G-rated. So I think it's a good song to start with.
Are you ready? Hey, think you can tell us what to do? You think you can tell us what to wear? You think that you're better? Well, you better get ready. Bow to the masters. Break it down. Degenerate into something full. We just got tired of doing what you told us to do. That's a brace, boy. Yeah, that's a brace, little man. Break it down. Degeneration X. Degeneration. You think you can tell me what to do? You know who you're talking to? Well, you better get used to the way the ball bounces. I see what you got. It measures in ounces, but that's a brace, boy. Yeah, that's a brace, little man. Break it down. Degeneration X. Degeneration.
I definitely recognize that somehow. It sounds very much like a knockoff Rage Against the Machine. I like it. It sounds a little bit underproduced. Yeah, like Kid Rock or Limp Bizkit almost feel to it.
That was like the style at the time.
Like an onion on the belt. I like that. I enjoyed that, even though it's a very knockoff Rage Against the Machine. So I'm gonna put it at the top. I don't even know what S stands for, but I'll give it an S.
Well deserved. It's a classic, one of the favorites. Who's next on that list? Oh, as people know who watch this channel, Mika is really good at analyzing lyrics. And in fact, she is so good that we got many, many requests for you to analyze the lyrics of this song.
I'm seeing the title that says Ass Man, so I'm gonna guess it's not that deep.
The people have spoken, okay? This is what they want.
Okay.
I'm an ass man. Yeah, I'm an ass man.
perplexed about him talking about kicking them, but I guess he's a wrestler, so I can't say that lyrically I'm super impressed, but musically it was okay. I always appreciate some guitar. I'm gonna be generous and give that a B.
Do you want to give us any lyrical analysis of this?
You know, he's really got a point when he's saying, like, so many asses, so little time. I think that's something that everybody can relate to. Maybe not specifically for ass-related reasons, but we all struggle with the passage of time. Tempus fugit, as they say in Latin. So I think that's something that really, really hits me in the feels, you know? And when he talks about, like, buns of glory, buns of steel, it kind of reminds me of mail delivery people say, neither rain nor sleet, buns of glory, buns of steel. I think this is something that people can aspire to.
Okay, so he's like more of a motivational figure.
Yes.
All right, moving on. Next one I think is Ken Shamrock. So this is a guy who actually went from UFC back when UFC was like not a big thing. He was one of the very first large names in UFC, and he left that and he came to the WWF at the time. And he was known as the world's most dangerous man.
Maybe I won't call myself a fan of the UFC, but I do enjoy watching. Fine, a little bit generic. It just didn't have like a ton of personality. It just didn't leave me much of an impression. I'm gonna put it below the ass.
I would agree with that. I would say this is the most generic thing I'm going to show you today. But he was a pretty big name, so I wanted to make sure to include him. So this is The Undertaker, as he started taking on the personality of a cult-leading Satanist type character. And this got really dark. This is probably the darkest I've ever seen wrestling get, to the extent that he was crucifying people, he was slitting their wrists, drinking their blood, right? Like, it got dark.
Ana Mafra. Dozne Diembe. Accept the Lord of Darkness as your saviors. Ana Mafra. Yet, allow the purity of evil to guide you.
I thought it was an interesting mix of string instruments in there, kind of give it a classical feel. There were a couple parts where I was like, if somebody told me this was Rammstein, I would believe them. I'm glad to have heard that instrumental song after the Ken Shamrock instrumental song. I think it's a good demonstration of the fact that an instrumental song with no vocals can still have so much more personality and not be so generic. I think that was really musically interesting, really evocative. It creates strong feelings just from listening to it, and fairly unique. So I'm gonna give it an A.
So this one is for Vince McMahon. Vince McMahon is the owner of the company. For a long time, he didn't actually admit to being the owner. He was just an announcer on screen, and that's all he would be. Then one day, there was a wrestler, Bret Hart. We actually talked about him in the last video. And this is not a storyline. This is not an angle. He was actually screwed over in a match. They called it the Montreal Screwjob. They wanted him to lose to somebody that had basically disrespected him and said, I would never lose to you. So Bret Hart was like, okay, fine. I'm not going to lose to you either then. And then so they came up with this sort of ending to the match where it would just be a double disqualification. But that's what they told Bret, right? But in secret, they actually had another thing planned where when Bret was put in a submission hold, the referee called for the bell, said he gave up, even though he didn't. And so it was called the Montreal Screwjob because it was real life actually coming into a wrestling angle where they screwed over this guy right before he was leaving. So anyways, all that to say, Vince McMahon, this character, or this person, because he's the one who made that call, because he really screwed him over, he became a bad guy in real life. And instead of like trying to ignore that, he just went with it, right? The fans were booing him. He's like, okay, fine, I'm going to play the evil boss. And that's what he did. So that's what he created here. He created this evil McMahon character, the evil boss of this company.
Disturbing.
It would have got more disturbing if I let it keep playing.
I did recognize it for sure. I've definitely heard it somewhere. I do think it's sort of representative of the time. There was quite a bit of music like that. I can see how that would have gotten popular. Definitely, gave me a little nostalgia hits. So I'm gonna be, once again, magnanimous and give it a B.
People are going to disagree with you on that, but that's okay.
Why? Because people think it's worse?
No, people think this is like one of the top songs of all time. The next one on here is Corporate Ministry. And what this is that Vince McMahon, the boss, the corporation, joins forces with the Undertaker and his Ministry of Darkness. So essentially, he makes a deal with the devil, and they create this combined force together. And so this theme song is essentially the two theme songs you just listened to, but combined together into one.
Cheese. Yeah. Cheese. Cheese. No chance, that's what you got. Up against a machine too strong. Pretty politicians buying souls for a song. Puppets. Won't find their place in line. But tie a string around your finger now, boy, cause it's just a matter of time. Cause you've got no chance. No chance at all. You've got no chance.
uniqueness there. It sounds typical of the time, but I wouldn't have heard that and immediately thought of a different band. I could hear that and go, I don't think I've heard this band before. This sounded like I could have done without the horror sound sampling, but I thought that was kind of interesting where, yeah, it sounds like an organ or some kind of key instrument. It sounded interesting. I think that they did something fairly unique with it. I think it was good. I think I could give it an S. I think it was just
nice.
It had its own thing. I think it was good. I liked it.
We are in complete agreement on this one. I love it. Okay, so this next one is for Kane. Kane is the Undertaker's brother. The initial story behind this is that when they were young, Undertaker lights a fire and he accidentally...
Like IRL or...
No, this is storyline. He thinks it kills Kane, and he challenges the Undertaker later, and he says, like, how could you do this to me? And Undertaker's like, I didn't mean to, it was an accident. And then later you find out that actually the Undertaker did it on purpose. And so who is the good guy and the bad guy in this keeps changing? This is the theme for his brother, who is like a burn victim, and who has now become a pyromaniac himself.
Of course, that's how that works. Okay, that one was tough because, you know, I like a screeching guitar, so I should have liked it more than I did. And like on a technical level, I think it sounded good. It was just a little bit slow and a little bit boring to my ear. So I'm kind of stuck between S and A.
Oh, that's not what you made it sound like
yeah.
you were going to give it. When you said that, I'm thinking, oh, this is going to be like D or something.
No, because it's a wrestling intro song, I'm going to be generous and give it an S.
Wow.
I do think it had a little bit something to be desired. Based on what I heard on YouTube, it didn't grab me as much as I would have liked. Also, you know, maybe in an auditorium with tens of thousands of people, maybe it hits different.
I mean, I'm not going to fight you on this, but just like your description of it did not sound like S.
I couldn't decide if it was very good or extremely good.
Oh, okay. Next is Mankind. You already did him in the last video, and he was the one who had the mandible claw he puts in people's throats and makes them choke. I remember you didn't like it because when he had his song at the end after he finished doing that, it was very poetic and lifting sounding.
Oh, right.
Remember, and you didn't like that. So anyways, he's changed his gimmick now. He's acting as a stooge initially for the boss of Vince McMahon. He's still crazy, but he's good intentioned now. And he eventually becomes a good guy. And also you should know that he is probably the biggest risk taker in this company. So the amount of stunts he does where he puts his body in danger is incomparable to anyone else. So.
Oh, Mick Foley is Mankind?
Yeah.
Oh.
Do you know that name?
Yes, I know a little bit about Mick Foley, only because he's a little bit of an activist or something.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, I'm talking like over a decade ago that I first heard about him. I'm thinking like on Jon Stewart, maybe?
He was on The Daily Show.
So yeah, so I've been hearing about him for like a while, over a decade, and that's how I know him. I don't know anything about wrestling, but I know of Mick Foley for his activism, and I think I never heard anything bad about him. He just seems like a pretty nice, wholesome guy who cares about people, which is nice.
He does have a really good reputation in the business.
before I rate the song, I just want to mention the this quintessentially 90s getup that we have here. The plaid vest, the unkempt facial hair, the ironic smiley face.
This photo is a little bit later after the Attitude Era.
He kept it going. So another point for major nostalgia, but musically, I didn't like that. I do appreciate that it made me want to like chew bubble gum and skip down the street, but I didn't like it. So I'm gonna give this a D.
Ouch.
Sorry, Mick.
Mankind fans are just catching strays. You had 2 songs in the last video. You disliked both of them, and now you dislike this one.
And the only IRL person that I actually know of and like.
Poor Mankind. He just can't catch a break with Mika, it looks like. That's okay.
Sorry, man. Keep doing the other stuff that you're doing.
Next, we have Owen Hart. You had him in the last video, but he has a new theme song now for the Attitude Era. He's still a heel, so he's still a bad guy, but now he's, I don't know, he's even more pissed off than he was before.
All right. And the Harts are all Canadian?
Yes, that is correct. His brother, Bret Hart, at this point is now gone from the company, and Owen is considered like the last Hart member that is still there. He is also the one, which we talked about last time, who was killed in a freak accident that they did, a stunt where they were lowering him from the top. But just so people know, if they want to hear our thoughts on that, we have discussed that in the new Generation video.
Well, enough is enough, and it's time for a change. Come and take your best shot. I tried to be a nice guy. I tried to play by the rules. You turned your backs on me. I snapped. I was a victim. Well, enough is enough.
That's enough for me.
Not a fan?
It was very bland. Missing heart, ironically. Missing bass. It just felt very unfinished. I do kind of like that banging sound, whatever that was. Slipknot has a few songs that they kind of use like power tools and stuff as instruments. A little bit reminded me of that, but otherwise, yeah, it just felt like the beginning of a song. Maybe it gets more interesting, but no, I didn't like that. I'm gonna give it an extra point for originality, so I'm gonna give it a C.
Okay, next we have The Brood. They're like a vampire group. As a Buffy fan, you might appreciate them. They would do like bloodbaths where they would like drop, it wouldn't have been real blood, but like they dropped like buckets of blood from the ceiling on people.
I'm not into vampires because of vampires. I'm into Buffy because it's a good show. But let's see. Feel. I like that sort of violin type sound. It definitely felt like an intro song of something. Like it didn't super sound like its own song, or like maybe it would have been okay in a movie or something like that. Didn't like love it, but I think it's solid. So I'm gonna give it a B. Just right in the middle there. Yeah.
Okay, the last one. Steve Austin. So you've probably heard this name before. Steve Austin is often considered to be the biggest name there's ever been in wrestling. It's either him or Hulk Hogan. People debate this. But Steve Austin sort of got big by being the thorn in the side to Vince McMahon. I've talked about how Vince McMahon was the evil boss character. Steve Austin represented the common man who is fighting, standing up against his boss. they made art by telling this story. And it was like one of the biggest storylines they've ever had. And it started based on a true story of this being an evil boss. And I think that's why it caught on so well.
I know I've heard it before. It does sound familiar. I normally like songs that are very heavy like that. What I like to describe as the Godzilla walking nearby feel that just. And it did have some of that, but otherwise it felt repetitive and sort of just like somebody just riffing. It felt kind of empty. I think if they had done, like a few bars of that would have been fine, but for it to be the whole song like that, yeah, I'm not impressed. So I'm gonna give it a lowly C.
People are gonna be out for blood on this one.
Sorry, my friends. This is my opinion.
I thought you were gonna love this one. For this song, he went to management and he's like, "Can you guys get me Rage Against the Machine?" And they're like, "We'll try." They couldn't get Rage Against the Machine. Steve Austin is like, "I want Bulls on Parade." I'm like, this is what we'll do. And so this song was based on Bulls on Parade. This is considered one of the, if not the most popular wrestling theme songs of all time. Like, it's iconic. The glass breaking at the start, as soon as you hear that glass break, like, the crowd goes crazy. Yeah, I'm actually pretty shocked that I thought this was going to be one of your favorites.
It started out strong, and then it just kept going, but it didn't escalate.
This is your final tier list then. We actually got some really good choices at the top here. So we got DX, Corporate Ministry, Kane, Undertaker, all S and A ranked. So yeah, let us know. What did you think of Mika's reviews, Mika's tier list?
Be nice to me. I'm just coming back from maternity.
She's allowed to have her own opinions. She doesn't have to like whatever you like. We'll do a part 2. Like I said, there were so many good songs during this era that we couldn't possibly cover them all. Don't worry, we're still going to get to The Rock. We're still going to get to Triple H. But let us know what other wrestlers you would like to hear the theme songs of. We're going to be more focused on the second half of the Attitude Era, the McMahon-Helmsley era. But if there's something that maybe started a little bit before that, that's okay too. Let us know in the comments what you want to hear. And what is your favorite song from this era?
Well, that's it for us, Hamsters. Spin your wheels down to that subscribe button.
And give us a dastardly thumbs up.